So while at the swap meet, one of the very last things I bought was a small Wald basket. So I figure I'm going to do a little how-to install a small Wald basket on your little old vintagey road bike with upright bar or flat bar conversion. Because it's a little different. These Wald baskets are made for old cruisers with giant tall upright stems and really long forks and 27 or 26 inch wheel tires and fat tires. And so you'll see, first thing I like to do is fish it through the cables and housing in a way I find most interesting. So usually both the brakes I like to fit down the middle. Shift I'm going to leave on the outside so it can turn nice and easy, not bang stuff up. But I still might put one of those little S-hooky dudes on these guys to sort of keep them all out of the way. Now I like to level, this is a level stem with most vintage stems. So I like to level the basket with the stem, otherwise I'll put the whole bike on the ground and level the basket. Now these stock stays are super long, has two holes in the bottom, one for like a bolt-in axle and one for a quick release axle. They are both wrong, so what I often do is cut this off, smash a new flat in the vise, drill myself a new hole. Get this basket about flat. Come over here to about where the quick release axle is. I'm going to make a little mark. So just with a Sharpie, just sort of right in line with that quick release skewer. I'll pull these off. I'll do both sides. Smash, drill, cut. You can always do it at the top too if you want to save the big hole for the bolt-on or want this to look more whatever. But often, I don't think it will be with this axle, but often fork legs are so thick they'll hit this guy. So even after I flatten it and drill a new hole, I'll have to come in here and relieve a little bit. Just cut just a little bit out so that it won't hit the bulk of the fork blade and have the flat be able to fully go into the dropout and get pinched in. I don't think I'll have to do it on this one, which is nice. I got my little hardware kit. I'm hoping in this kit I'll have enough random washers and bolts and spacers and things to make this work. I do not know if that's true. And there's a chance I'll have to run to the hardware store tomorrow. And once you smash this all down, maybe that'll fit. It's pretty opened up. Used ones, used racks are often very mangled and whatnot. So you can see my mark here where we're going to drill a new hole, cut it off, pinch it flat in the vise, drill a new hole. If I had to do an relieving, I could make some Sharpie marks and sort of grind that out. Really, I hand file everything. Grinding's just too easy. So I'm going to pop these stays off and make that transfer. You can see how big and open these guys are. We're going to see if we can fit these onto the bars. Got some big channel locks. Just going to give them a little persuasion, try and flatten the fronts a little bit more. It's going to smush the back, but what we really want is the front. Try not to hit your housing and mangle it. And yeah, these bolts are just too short. I could keep smushing these, hoping the front will flatten out, but really just the back comes in. I dig around a bunch for other bolts that are slightly longer and find only ones that are exactly the same size or 5 inches too long, like you do. Or I can just figure out a way to make these jerks. Make these jerks just be like 5 millimeters longer. So yeah, I think I might just keep squishing them. Give them a couple more pinches, try and flatten the front, really pull the back in. And look at that. Now it sticks out just enough to get a nut on. Easy peasy. I'm going to use a trick. It's not quite as pretty as I want. It's kind of an ugly pea shape instead of like a nice bent shape. I'm going to put a nut on it. Just a shitty nut. Just a Just a non-nylock, just cheap nut I would never use on a bike for any other reason. I'm going to try and tighten down this nut. The act of just tightening this nut should kind of flatten this front and make it a little bit more and make it look a little more pretty and sitting where we want it. You can see there's plenty sticking out. It's kind of ugly, kind of does what we want. But squished it, made it sticking out, make it really easy to get a washer and a nylock on now. Bolt through the right way this time. Get a washer. Get a nylock. Tight. Let's tighten these guys down. Now these bolts are going to end up looking way too long by the time we're done. Just going to ratchet a wrench so I can turn both hands. Oh yeah. Let's also make sure this basket is centered on the bars. I see that's part of the problem. It's way off. And it's real happy being way off, of course, because it's a jerk. There we go. Centered on the stem, gaps of both. Gonna have it pretty level. So the flat top of this baskets match up the flat top of the stem. Actually centered, it's old and maybe a little bent and wonky. Close enough. Boom, now I just need to cut down these stays. And here is my totally reasonable, not ridiculous, and impossible to work in little storage closet at all. Right, in this gracious, gracious little storage closet. Holding these dudes up to each other. Transferring my mark. Make little cyclopses, a little happy face. We're going to flatten that. Cut that off. File the edges nice and round and tight. Should be cool. First thing I'm going to do is cut these dudes down. Just got a hacksaw with a metal blade. Think you can do this two at a time. I feel like I usually do them one at a time. We'll find out. Safe. Now you can see the little hole with the skewer. It's just a little bit of guy going on there. I got a lot more than I need here. Should it be golden? And you only need a little bit above the line. Let's make them the same. I'm going to turn this old vise into an arbor press. So let's put it in there, smushed it flat. Straighten it out. Same thing on the other side. Got a little center punch. You can put it against stuff and punches a little hole. So to mark our little holes. Took a little longer than I wanted. It's the big fat bit. That's more than big enough for a skewer. And it tapered the hole a little bit, which is nice. I'm going to do the other side a little bit too. Just to deburr and clean it up. This is a nice little chamfer, so there's no sharp edges. I'm going to clean up and make this kind of half round. Got me some big boy files from Harbor Freight. And there it is. Pretty round, pretty simple, pretty holy. Not perfect, but real good. No one's ever going to look or notice. This is bare steel. I've done this on 1,000 bikes. You'd think it'd get all rusty and ugly, but no one's ever noticed. I've never noticed. Been on bikes for years, never thought about them. So not too worried. Both sides cut down. Pretty matchy to this old nonsense. Just gonna lightly throw this back into place for a second. Gotta take this quick release off, and we'll run the quick release through this, through the axle, through the hub, and through this, and then through the jam nut, out the other side. I guess technically if you wanted to, you could cut this into a slot, like a crow's foot. So you just sort of slip it on, slip it off. I've been pulling the quick release all the way out, but this just feels safer to me, you know? Come on, brother. The axle pop into the dropout. quick release coming through. Pull right on there. Quick release spring. And this little jammer doohickey. You can see I flattened this high enough up that it's not hitting the round part of the blade. It snakes right by it just barely. And it's not hitting the quick release at all. And that's important. If you're too close and you hit that stuff, you won't be able to tighten it down right. It'll mush up on that and be weird and cause problems. You also have to do the extra step of making sure your wheel's in straight, because now it's going to fight it until it's been on and tightened a few times. Make sure these are bent at the right angle, basically smashing it down by tightening it. Make sure you get nice and tight. You don't want your wheel to fall out. And this bike is pre-lawyer lips. The lawyer lips are little hooks on the bottom of your fork. If you have those, and you have to trim this stay enough to fit up inside those as well, or do the little U slots instead of the hole, so it can slide down over and not hit those lawyer lips, because that'll be a problem. Make sure the wheel's straight, brake pads are still centered and even. Your brakes should be even. You set them up so that as you pull the lever, both pads hit the rim at the same time. There's lots of reasons for that, but right now it's really helping me make sure that I have this wheel in straight still. Tight! Now we just got to tighten these stay bolts up, maybe double check these handlebar bolts. Hope this is still pretty flat. We got our measurements all right, and we are golden. Because half the point of putting city bars, like upright cruiser bars, on a bike is to make it more fun to ride around the city. Run errands in, grab a six-pack, hit the grocery store, hit the farmer's market, like whatever. Bring an extra jacket and a picnic blanket or something with you. So what's the point of making it upright in more city without actually making it functional? And I think that the small Wald basket's the best way of doing that. This is $10 used, pretty much any bike shop or garage sale or swap meet. They're 35 to 45 new. Some of the new ones have double adjustable stays. It just means they're heavier. But it's cool. I might also do my Super 6 secret light mount trick on this bike too. Ooh, yeah, let's do a Super 6 secret light mount. But first, what do we think? Pretty level with the stem? Pretty much. Not a lot we can do now. We can still bend these guys in some. We'll bring the back down a little bit if it's sitting too high. Most likely that's what's going to do anyways. People are always trying to stick these out straight out on small bikes and jack everything up. But all it's going to do is sink back down, and you'll have your basket sitting like this and this part grinding your fender or tire. So it's best to lever it the right way. Let these stays be as long as possible. As long as you're not hitting your tire, use a shallow basket. Cut these guys down to size. Beautiful. Now there's lots of ways to attach a light on a bike. And the easiest way is just this clampy light right up under your handlebars. Have your light just sticking right out here, right in the way of putting stuff in out of your basket. Shining that blinky, horrible light, whatever you have in the basket, lighting that up and blinding you. So the best way on front racks, baskets, anything you can, is to mount the light down below the basket. So I like to get it pretty far forward, a little bit below. I think of the Nothing Special Schwinn. I used an old brake arm on that. And then a Originate Geno mount or light mount. You can use the Paul Geno mount. Or anything similar. Guys use headset spacers and a long bolt and a couple of top caps, off old inch and 1/8 threadless stuff. So I'm going to pick a spot, drill a hole, mount that light. Probably on the other side. People think that things have to be on the right side or whatever. It doesn't matter, but yeah, I'll do it pretty much like Nothing Special Schwinn, just a single hole drilled through here with the Geno mount. I think I have a Geno mount. So I want to mount a light mount on this Wald basket we finished, and I was like, oh, I'm out of them. Guess I'll have to do another video. But I realized I have the one on my bike upstairs. Ordered some on eBay, it'll be here in 2 or 3 days. So I'm going to steal it to do this video, and I'll just, replace it later or whatever. This is the light mount. This is a little Originate light mount that's made for just bolting into your dropout or a threaded boss somewhere. I've seen people sandwich these between two giant washers on baskets. I think they make a version now that clamps onto the basket all big. This is originally a Gino mount by Paul Components. They made this for this guy Gino, who lives here in Portland now. I've worked on some of his bikes and made him some custom racks and lowriders and stuff back when I was frame building. He used to come in the shop. He's a super cool dude. It's got a little cap. On the inside you can see there's the bolt head goes through, and the outside's where the bolt sticks out. Now these light mounts come with too short of a bolt. The bolt only got 4 or 5 threads sticking out to go into like your eyelet. So the first thing I do, and it's just like an M5, the first thing I do is find another M5 that's another 6 or 7 millimeters longer so I can get it through whatever I want and get a nut and washer on it. Then I grab a light. This is a big, giant, old Planet bike light that used to be very popular. And I want to make sure there's plenty of room. I want as high as possible, but still with lots and lots of room to reach around here while you're riding and turn it on. And you're not supposed to do that because it's dangerous, but you'll hit that button. Be able to aim it a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to guess, right about here is fine. So I kind of do like we did with the stays down here. I'm going to mark a spot, punch her out. And see if we can drill a little hole on this round tube. Round tube is sometimes hard. Sometimes you have to take this off, punch it from the back and drill in the back so the drill doesn't wander everywhere. It's really nice to start with a really small drill bit and work up to your big ones, but man, my Harbor Freight drill bits are all junk. They went dull so fast. This is like a $7 Harbor Freight drill bit. I drilled like 50 holes in my car frame with this, replaced my suspension. And it's still holding up, so we're going to give it another shot. It's a little slow and dull, but we'll see. Small drill bits would be nice. I'm going to try doing it more the right way by starting with a really small bit and working my way up. Come on, baby. And it looks like it's doing basically nothing. Junk. At least the slightly bigger one's never been used is kind of drilling. Alright. Hole through. Oh, it's just a little too small. Going up one size will be too big, but it's alright. It's got nuts and bolts and stuff tighten it down. Stick the washer. I won't be able to get it all the way tight. It's a weird curve. You could fit curved spacers in and do stuff, but tighten this down and it'll smash in there plenty tight and mangle everything a little bit and should be totally fine. Little 8 mil, little 4 mil. Little smashy, and there you have it, bolted on, nice and tight. Probably loosen and angle a little bit, bend it if we really wanted to, which I don't. It's got a little bar end style plug cap you don't need, but you sure can use. And boom, you have a light. It's out of the way of your basket and all your load. It's just chilling. You keep it nice and tight, just like it's on a handlebar. You can aim it, reach down, and turn it on, all that coolness. This is my favorite mod for mounting lights on baskets. So thanks for watching.